Alright, welcome back to Cooking with Toya Bodie. Again, we have a wonderful meal that I hope to help you impress your guests. I'm talking a holiday, knock your grandma's socks off, if she's wearing socks, whatever, I don't know. So the meal for today is going to be crawfish bisque, and not the soup like most people think bisque or like the soup. No, we want it to be the crawfish bisque with the stuffed heads. I'm talking old school style. Here's some of the shells right here that you can see. A little closer. There we go. Back them up. All right, so that's the shell we have, what we'll be working with today. All right, so let's jump into the ingredients because it's a pretty lengthy recipe. We have 2 sets of crawfish that we have here. This set is for the gravy. This set is for the stuffing. On top, we have sauteed until it's the softest thing it could ever be, softer than a baby's bottom, the Trinity. That is onions, celery, and bell peppers put together. We also have green onions sauteed in the mix. So we also have tomato paste. We have minced garlic right here. We have breadcrumbs. We have more of the Trinity that I spoke of earlier. So we have more of the Trinity, and that's for the actual sauce. That's why it's separate and back here. We have the seasoning mix for the show today is the Paul Prudhomme Seafood Magic. All right, we have Louisiana shrimp, crab, shrimp, and crawfish ball. We have that. We also have the flour for the roux. We have the butter. We have the ninja that makes everything possible. And we have the eggs and the green onions. The green onions, I like to call them the gentlemen of the onion world because it doesn't make you cry or anything like that. It tastes real good, so you don't have to worry about popping a gum after. So you'll enjoy this meal. So let's get cracking with everything. All right, so what we're going to do is basically start with how did I get this shell so nice and clean, you know? So what I did basically was I ripped it apart and I pulled all the guts out, that kind of thing. And then I just separated everything from the meat, the tail, and stuff like that. And I'm just going to leave it at that. I'm just joking. No, I'm really going to show you how I did it. I have a full crawfish, so I can show you guys how I actually did the process. It's a little lengthy, but I started off doing it a normal way, and then I thought about, and I'm sure someone has already thought about this. I'm sure someone's seen it for years, so don't get me in the comment section, people. I know about the YouTube police. I use this butter knife to get it out. So I'm going to show you that up close in just a moment. So, and after I show you how I got the shells to be, how I got them, and then we're going to run through the rest of the steps with the shells. So this is how you peel a crawfish if you've never done it before. Not for the veterans. You're going to twist. There we go. Twist that. And then with this, you're going to take this butter knife, put it right in the inside. You see? You're going to rip all of this out, and that's what you want to rip out, right? Boom. Hold it. You don't want to crack the shell. We need this shell. You don't want to crack it. You see? You see how everything's coming out now? And now what you want to do is basically take this. You see? Voila. And this is why you do this project once a year, right here. Because you at least want to have at least 30 to 40, maybe 50 heads, 30 to 40 or 50 heads, because you want it to have, a lot for people. You don't want it to be like crawfish head, hide and go seek, or Marco Polo, or anything like that in the gravy. You want everybody to enjoy this meal. You don't want to skimp them and be cheap. All right, so now all of this is the junk. You see this right here? You save this. You need this tail. If you have any claws and stuff like that, you need that too. So we're going to throw this over here. You're going to take the back. There you go. You would put this, because I already have it stored, you would put this in a pot and get all of the meat off and stuff like that. Just like that. You know, now what I'm going to do is grab the pot from the stove so you can see the actual the actual shells and stuff like that I have already, that I do have sitting in the water. I haven't boiled it just yet, but I have it sitting in the water. Let me grab that in just a second. Okay, so now I showed you how to clean out the heads and stuff like that. So, and I have a perk about that. You can also buy those heads online already cleaned. Open up a separate window while you're watching this and Google it. All right, so now we have in this pot the tails. We have shells from the tails, and we also have the claws. Lots of flavors inside those little tiny claws. So I have 12 cups of water inside this pot. I'm going to boil that and reduce it for boil it and then reduce it down to medium. Let it simmer for 30 minutes. Whenever I'm dealing with the crawfish that comes from the pack, that yellow stuff is actually the fat. So I always like to at least pour 2 cups of water on top of the crawfish to get some of those juices down at the bottom. You see how it's welling up right now? You see? All right, so we want that juice because that's a lot of where the flavor is and stuff like that. So we're going to take the Trinity and the meat. We're going to add this into the food processor. Now what's going to happen, I have my food processor set. I'm sorry. You don't want it to be yucky mush. You just want it to be a good consistency where it's like a moldable clay. So we're going to start that base with this by doing a couple pulsations with this. Now I want to stop it and then make sure everything is shuffled around inside. Now I'm going to show you exactly what it should look like. And to me, it kind of looks like tuna fish. You see? It's nice, mushy. It's not like pate or anything like that. So what we're going to do is get this back into the bowl. All of this yummy crawfish meat and the seasoning, the Trinity is already inside of it. Now what we're going to do is add some of the eggs, and honestly the veggies, because I sauteed them so much, I'm probably not going to need as much egg in order to create this moldable dough, you know. So I have 2 eggs already beaten, 2 large eggs. I'm going to add some of it. So we're going to add a little bit more and then stop there and see if we're going to need some more. Now we're going to go into the breadcrumbs. This is actually about 3, maybe 4 cups of breadcrumbs. I just always put extra just in case. I'm going to put a little bit of the Paul Prud'homme, the seafood magic. So we're going to put a little bit of that in there. Tiny little bit of crawfish ball. You can't ever use crawfish in a meal without using this stuff. It doesn't have to be just this brand right here of Louisiana. It can be Rex or Zatarain's, whatever you want to use. But it has to be crawfish, crab, and shrimp ball. Never use the crab and shrimp ball only. It's a little too strong. So we're going to add a little bit to it. It's going to add some kick. It's a little bit of that heat that basically grabs you right after you stop talking and you realize, whoa, that was hot. Now we're going to mix this up. All right, it's already forming into a nice dough. You can see now, you see? So that's what we want. We might add a little bit more egg. We might add the remaining amount of egg to the mixture and then add a little bit more breadcrumbs and top it off. Because what we're going to do is put it inside of one of these piping bags. That's going to make it super simple and stop you from basically shoving everything into it, you know, with a spoon and it getting everywhere. Just use the piping bag. That makes everything a lot more simple. You know, I firmly believe in working smart, not hard. So we have all this mixed up. Let's see. What I'm feeling for is a consistency of a meatball. You know how you make spaghettis and meatballs? You want nice and you can mold it up. Play-Doh. You know, you want it to be nice and moldable where you can roll it together and make a little ball with it. Also, if you want to skip the process of using the little heads, just make simple little meatballs. There you go. All right, so what we're going to do is add the rest of the egg. There we go. And I always like to hold off until the end because, you know, sometimes it's enough, sometimes it's not. So I want to go from there. So there you go. All right. So here you go. I would say I used about 2.5 cups of breadcrumbs, but I want you to try and see exactly how much. You know, it won't hurt you to go back and forth with it. All right, now we're getting this all mixed up, and we have our dough nice and ready. Now what we have is everything stuffed inside these little piping bags that I showed you, little Wilton disposable bags. I clipped the bottom tip off, so now I have the opening right there, and in order to fill it, you roll it down as far as you can, and as you fill it, you lift it up, and then you realize, you know what, you need space to twist it. So now this is the point where you're going to be able to pipe it. You see it's already trying to come out right now, so I don't want to push it too much. So now what we're going to do, I have my foil already lined inside of my pan. My oven is already preset for 350. We're going to bake them for about 15 to 20 minutes. All right. So what we're going to do now is fill the shells just like this. You see? Nice and beautiful. Just enough to make your mama proud. Look at that. Now you want to open it up like this for the really small ones. Stuff them nice and well. There we go. So now we're going to run through this and repeat the process just like so. Voila. Now wouldn't Grandma be proud? Okay, so we stuffed the heads. You saw how fast I did that. And now I have that in the oven. It's going to bake for about 15 to 25 minutes roughly. Those are pretty small, some big to medium, so I will watch them at 15. What we're watching for is to get nice and toasty, not too dry because you don't want it to be like really dark brown, a nice toasty color. Now what we're going to do is while that's in the oven, we're going to jump right into the butter roux. Alright, so now we're getting ready to make the butter roux. The butter is nice and hot. We have the flour. There we go. Perfect. So now we're going to do it this. Now there's two ways. I mean, you can always keep it this light color, which is called blonde. And you can keep it this light color and then use kitchen bouquet. I don't suggest for you to use kitchen bouquet. You can just bring it darker. But if you're uncomfortable bringing it darker, I completely understand. I won't criticize you or critique you. I'll leave that to the people who comment on YouTube aggressively. So, what I'll do is I always show people how to get it to a good color that I'm talking about. The roux is very hot. It gets up to 500 degrees. You have to really watch it and keep it moving inside of the pan. And that's the basis of it. So this is blonde. And what we're going to do is we're going to bring it to a good peanut butter color. All right. So now we're going to add the Trinity in. It's going to calm it down some. Tomato paste. Now we're going to mix that in. And now at this point you can incorporate the whisk again. You just want to get it to calm down some. There we go. Alright, so now what we're doing is getting all of that good tomatoey roux. Sidebar, this would actually be called the piquant sauce if you made a sauce out of this roux, that tomato paste. It's a Creole delicacy. There's also alligator piquant, different types of meat, and with this piquant sauce, it's a Creole sauce. Okay, so now we have the roux in the bottom of the pot. That's your gold right here. That's your gold. That's your base for that sauce. All right, so now at this point, we're going to take some of the liquid that was strained from the shells. I have it right here. This nice cloudy water. There we go. I'm going to mix that in. Right here. We're going to see what it does. We're not going to force it to do anything too much. Uh-oh, got a little bit of splash. All right, so now look inside of the pot. Look at it. That's the power of a roux. It's a thickening agent. You can go from feeding 5 people to like 500 people if you have the right amount of roux. This liquid to it. Alright. There we go. So now we want this really thick gravy to brew. So now what we're going to do, I added more liquid on top of the crawfish that I had. You see that yellowy stuff? That's going to be the stock. And for those who have been following my videos and who know about the crawfish etouffee video, you know that's how I made the stock before. So this is more flavor. Add all of that into the mix. Get all those pesky tails. There we go. Put that right there. Now we're going to mix this up. That should calm that liquid down some. There we go. There we go. Alright, so we want it to be nice and rich. And we have the crawfish tails, extra crawfish tails in there just for lanyap. That's all you want that in there for. Because you're about to dump all of those heads inside as well. So that's a pretty hefty amount. Let me take this. Mix it all up. You see it's nice and thick at this point. You see? That's exactly what you want. If you want to thin it out some, completely okay. You can always take some of the liquid to thin that out. Just add a little bit more water, a cup of water. Now we want to add the garlic. And the green onions. Just like so. Oodles of green onions. We're going to add the garlic in. Now we're going to mix all of that up. Look how beautiful it's becoming. Now wait until I put those heads in. It's going to be so, so pretty. This is the time when you're going to season it to taste. Right now I'm going to add a little bit crawfish boil to the mix. This is the Paul Prudhomme seasoning. Alright, I'll probably say that's about 2.5 tablespoons. You just season it to taste. You know, you may want as much as I put in there. You may not. So that's completely okay. It's your world. It's your house. Cook according to your palate. Alright. So now we're going to give a little taste to see. See, just a second. Now what we're going to do, we've achieved the flavor we want. We're going to just toss the heads right in. Just like so. And like I told you, that's going to be lanyap for the pot though. You know, because I have the tails in there as well. I have all the heads in. And believe it or not, this stuff is going to be so good the next day. It's unbelievable. So I would always suggest any of my recipes, or any recipe, just period, just rule of thumb, don't try the recipe the day of. The day before, and guess what? The flavor is going to be booming. So I have all that stuffing rolling around there. It's going to soak in and give it more of a crawfishy flavor. They're going to marry inside the pot and have really, really good flavor babies. I don't know how creepy that sounds to you, but sounds good to me. Alright, so you guys, we have conquered the meal. Do you hear me? We've conquered it like a lion. But anyway, so now I'm ready to show you how to plate it. I have a beautiful plate here. This came from my late grandfather-in-law. Some inherited China. So it's always good to find a nice festive plate. We have the rice already scooped out onto the plate. Look at this steaming hot goodness. Now I'm going to get a good heavy scoop. You remember what I said? Don't skimp on the heads. Don't do that to people. They're not going to like that. They're going to talk about you later on Facebook. Alright, so now what we're going to do, we're going to cascade everything together. Give them some more gravy. Here we go. We have the heads. Now you do the garnish. You see how I sliced them? I sliced them slanted, you see? It's just more attractive that way. It doesn't make it taste better. Alright, there we go. So now, that is crawfish bisque. The way your grandma would do it, within a quicker speed. So, you guys keep in mind the tip that I gave you about buying the shells and just skipping the shells, doing the meatballs if you don't feel like doing all that kind of stuff and you're not into the fancy work. Cool. Also, if you don't like the veggies, you can always blend them up. Put it basically as a puree. And once again, click subscribe. Don't forget to do that. And if you comment, nasty comment, at least subscribe if you're gonna be mean. Please do that. Okay, thanks. So you can find me anywhere, Toya Boudy, not booty, it's Boudy, Boudy. Okay, so find me anywhere, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook. Check out the website, cheftoyaboudy.com. That's where all the recipes will be in the blog section. Thank you.